in your atmosphere. I know you've been defeated before. I know you failed before. I know you've been sick before. Generations and curses. 'Cause I want to let you know that God is changing your stuff. God is changing your God is changing your He's making you quit that place and straight. He's creating a way in your wilderness. He's pulling a river in your desert. God is changing your stuff. Unemployment. Divorce is calling your name. Poverty is calling your name. But I want you to know tonight that God is changing your stuff. God is changing your God is changing your He loves you too much to leave you right there where you are. He got to show you what it looks like to be your miracle, to be your miracle, to be your miracle. He's changing your story. He's changing your story. From failure to success, from bound to free, from lack to the abundance, hey, from defeated to winning, hey, from defeated to winning. You want to open your mouth and say, I'm going from defeated to winning. He got to change your location from defeated to winning. That won't be your story, no. Now listen, I know we're out of recording, but can we make this our sanctuary tonight? I want you to think about that thing, and I want you to look at somebody. As a matter of fact, grab the hand of the person you're standing next to, and lift your hand in the air. That's it, lift your hand in the air. I don't know, but the enemy has been using
Hey
against you.
everybody, how you doing today? This is your girl Mimi Wilson, and I am super excited about this podcast. This is the relaunching of the BU podcast. I just wanted to come briefly. I'm not going to be for you long. I ain't going to stay long. But I just wanted to come and talk about the Mommy and Me brunch that we just had. When I say it was beyond amazing, y'all, it was beyond amazing. It was the vision, to see the vision come to life. I just don't know what else I could say about it. I had asked some people to come on because I wanted them to share what their experience was with the Mommy and Me brunch. When I say everything that could go wrong went wrong, but God. That's the only thing that I could tell you, but God. When we put this brunch together, it was to do something in our community, to get the mothers and the daughters, women in general, little girls together, and show that we can come together and be unified as one, without any drama, without any chaos, without any confusion, without any hating each other, without any jealousy, without any envy. And guess what? It happened. When I say the phenomenal women that was on the panel, Pastor Belinda Carter, which is my pastor from New Restoration. She was on the panel. Elder Bianca Carter, which is her daughter-in-law, but my sister in Christ. One of my good evangelists, Shonda Clay, she was on the panel. Evangelist Kay Maxwell, she was on the panel. And last but not least, my sister in Christ, my homegirl, evangelist minister Nakisha Pruitt, she was on there. When I say these women were phenomenal, so the question was asked to me, Misha, why wasn't you speaking? Because God told me no. In this season, we have to learn to be obedient. The thing is, a lot of times people come to events because they want to support the person, and I thank you for that. I love you for that. But the thing is, in this season, it's not about us. It's about serving. And on that day, that's exactly what I did. It's about us serving in our community. A lot of times we used to say back in the days when I was growing up that it takes a village to raise children. Guess what? Absolutely right. But something happened. It became a disconnect in our community where people become lovers of themselves. That's the word of God, right? Everybody is about, I got mine, now you get yours type attitude and mentality. And I'm like, in this season, God has been dealing with me. It's time to put boots on the ground. It's time for us to bring God back in the core of everything that we do. We are losing our children. At the Mommy and Me brunch, I had the youth stand up. Listen, when the youth stood up, I was just amazed at how many came, right? Because a lot of times we as women or the seasoned women, we have all of these functions, but we never, ever, ever involve our younger people. We never involve our youth. We never involve our younger girls. And we want to always say, they so fast. We don't give them anything to do. We don't give them anything to do. So that's why the Beauty Within Incorporated was produced. It is a nonprofit organization. I love that the ones that came in and they saw me working and I was getting everything prepared and I wind up leaving about 1 o'clock and had to come home and get some stuff situated before I actually went back to the event. Almost got in a car accident. And that's why I say the enemy was mad because he wanted to stop this. Other people said things was going on with them and they almost didn't make it. But at the end of the day, all I can do is tell you, but God. But let me do this first because I just went right on in. Let me say welcome. Welcome to the revamping of BU. BU podcast was also a name that God gave me driving home. And I said, God, I want to reach people, right? And a lot of times we realize that people are not coming to the church anymore. So guess what? The church have to go to them. Right? I know you said, well, Misha, how can you pick up a building? Because that's the sanctuary. You are the church. If you are carrying the word in you, you're carrying the gospel in you, you are the church. When he said that he's coming back for a church without a spot or a blemish, he's not talking about that building. He's talking about us as individuals. It's time for us to come out of our comfort zone. It's time for us to come beyond those four walls. It's time for us to come out of the AC unit. And it's time for us to get in those streets and go back and get our youth. And not just our youth, people, period. It's time for us to get busy for Christ. So when I came up with the word, well, I say God came up with the name BU Podcast. It was like, okay, God, what is the meaning behind BU? He says simply that, be you. Don't try to be like anybody else. A lot of times when you're dealing with platforms, social media, YouTube, all of these different places, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everybody want to imitate everybody. Just recently, I had God say, take off your lashes, take off your lipstick, take off all the makeup, take off the weave, take off the nails, and go and look at the beauty within you. God has created each individual to be unique, right? But a lot of times we get so wrapped up and caught up in the reality shows, and there's nothing realistic about it. We get so caught up in how these people live in these fraudulent lives, right? And we try to imitate these things. God said, I want you to begin to look in the mirror and see you. You have been covering up for so long. And so when I looked in the mirror, guess what? Can I be honest? This is about being you and being transparent. I didn't like what I saw. Yeah. All the things that everybody say, oh, you so pretty, you this, you that. And guess what? I would kind of like maneuver around the compliments because I didn't want to accept the compliments, right? You can't accept something that you don't believe. And it wasn't just until recently when I took all of that stuff off and I saw my natural hair that was curly, real pretty curly hair. And I would say it's beautiful on somebody else, but looking in the mirror, I was like, I don't like this. But God said, I want you to stay right there because it's time for us to get past all the cover up, right? And before I can come and talk to anybody else, before I can motivate anybody else, before I can encourage anybody else, guess what? I have to first deal with me. Before you can encourage anybody else, guess what? You first got to deal with you. And then when I got okay with it, God said, now you could put it back on, because now you're not covering up. A lot of us, we need to do it just to enhance it, but don't cover up. Be okay with being able to walk outside without the makeup and stuff like that. But God said, before you could go and preach, teach to anybody else, you first got to believe what you're speaking. And that's where Beauty Within, and that's where BU came from. And in the beginning, I was doing it, but I wasn't doing it the way God told me to do it. So even with the Pretty in Pink Mommy and Me brunch, God said, let me have my way. So God said, no, I couldn't be one of the speakers, because it wasn't about me. That whole time I basically walked around and served, and that's where it is right now. It's about us serving. It's not about us taking the glory from God. It was about us serving, because if Jesus can wash feet, who are we? We got to turn around and we got to begin to serve each other. So I began to love on the people. And I was so excited. I didn't even get a chance to take a picture with a whole lot of people. I missed a whole lot. And everybody was saying how good it was. But guess what? I didn't see it until afterwards, when I started seeing the videos and I started taking the pictures and looking at the pictures and everything like that. I really didn't see the depthness of what God had did. When I began to listen to those messages, everything kind of tied in together. I told those women, they said, well, you didn't give a scripture. And I said, you know what? God said, no. I want you to teach. I want you to preach. I want you to speak from your heart. And that's what we're missing right now. We're missing that everybody is just being original and authentic, how God created you to be. I can't imitate and be Pastor Carter. I can't imitate and be Elder Bianca. I can't imitate and be Elder Evangelist Shonda Clay. I can't be Minister Nakisha Pruitt. Each and every one of those women, they had their own unique style. When I say it was like a powerhouse in there, and a lot of times the enemy will play with your mind. Can we talk about that? The enemy will play with your mind and say, nobody's getting this. Or he'll tell you, the younger girls, they're not getting this. And they actually were getting it. And that's what the key thing was. I was like, when I told these girls to stand up, I said, listen, you see all these young women, this is our future. How are we investing in these women? The decor, it was beautiful. I wanted to give them something a lot of them had never experienced before. When I say Delicia, I call her Shawnee. When I say I told her my vision, y'all, and she brought it to life, I was in awe. When people came in there, they were in what? Awe. And that's how God has things set up. I said, God, I'm stepping back. You gave me the vision. I'm going to speak the vision. I'm going to believe the vision. And God manifests that. He did that. And that's why I wanted to come live, just to talk about some different things about believing in the vision. A lot of times we speak things, but we don't believe it. I'm operating in now faith, y'all. Was this task easy? It wasn't. Was it challenging? Yes, it was. Did I want to give up? Yeah, I did. But God never told me to tap in or tap out, shall I say. He never told me to tap out. And when I say it was difficult, things came up that I didn't expect financially and everything else. But when I tell you, being obedient is better than sacrifice. I sacrificed financially. I really did, right? And I'm not saying that so for me to get a pat on the back, but I'm just telling you how God operates. And it's about us believing, even though we have our own things that we got going on. I had other things that I had to take care of, but I had to take care of God's business first. So my thing is, do you believe in the vision? God can give you a vision, but will it manifest if you don't believe in it? Will it manifest if you don't walk in it? Will it manifest if you don't speak on it? Will it manifest? You got to believe and you got to begin to put your hands to the plow. I just was sharing with somebody. I said, I was writing on my calendar at my little area where I do my podcast, and I have my little tablet and my laptop, and I begin to write on the calendar certain things that God spoke to me. And one of the things was get a closer walk with God. This event that I just did, and anybody that know me, I've hosted stuff before. It was said that this event is going to be different than any other event that you have done, right? Before it even happened. And I was like, you think so? They was like, yeah, I believe that this is going to be totally different than any event that you've ever had. And matter of fact, one of my friends, I'm going to bring her in. She was one of the ones, and also Minister Nakisha Pruitt was like, this is going to be different for you. And then after the fact, my sister said, sis, this event was so different than anything that you've ever done. So let me introduce one of the speakers of the hour. And this is Evangelist Shonda Clay. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hey, Sean.
Hey girl, how you doing?
I'm good. I was just telling them how you were saying
My
in
camera's off because I'm at
Minister.
work.
Huh?
I
What you
said my
said,
camera's
Sean?
off because I'm still at work.
Okay. Okay. No,
I
you're
said my
fine.
camera is
I just
off.
I
Okay.
was telling.
Okay.
No, you're good. I was telling them on how you said about the Mommy and Me brunch was going to be different than any other event I had. And I know Minister Nakisha Pruitt said the same thing. Then Nikki said it after the fact. My sister said, since this was totally different. When you came in, sis, what did you get from the Mommy and Me brunch? Can you hear me?
It was so amazing. Oh my goodness. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can Okay.
Yeah, we can
So
hear
it was
you.
so amazing. Diversity. Huh?
You're going in and out.
What I enjoyed the most was the diversity.
You said that you enjoyed
Let's
the
see.
diversity.
I said diversity of the gifting of the different women's, the speakers. That was so amazing to me.
It was. It was. It was like God handpicked y'all because I prayed about it. I said, God, I don't want to just pick people that I know or choose people that I know. God, I want you to choose them, and then I'll send the invitation out to them, and y'all accept it. Are you there?
It was amazing. Yes, it was so amazing.
People were talking about your message, which was, oh my God, it was amazing. You had me, when I say I was on my toes, I was on my toes because that's one of the things that I always say, get up. We always complain about certain things that's not happening in our life, but then we want to sit in our comfort zone. Tell us a little bit about your message.
Say it again,
Can you
Miss.
hear me? I said, tell us a little bit about your message. When you spoke your message, it was so powerful that a lot of people said they needed to hear that because we get in our comfort zone and a lot of times we don't make moves, but we complain about the situation or the circumstance or the state that we're in. Tell us a little bit about your message. Y'all got to excuse the interruption. She's at work right now. Sean, She's having some issues. I'm sorry about that, y'all. She's at work, but she wanted to tell y'all about her message. When I say that she was like, get up, it was a word she was using though. And I'm trying to remember it, but it was so powerful because she was so raw and she was so real. A lot of times when we as preachers, we get up and it's like, you got to be at this certain level or you can't act a certain way. When I say each and every one of those women that were up there speaking, everybody had their own style. And it was just like baking a cake. When it all came together, when I say it was beautiful, it was beautiful. I wanted to say to her, if she was on here right now, job well done. I see the growth in my friend. And she was like, it was a message for a certain person in there. And then after the fact, they said it was them. God has a way to sending out his message. But will we be obedient to speak his message? And that's where we are at right now. We have to get in a state of being bold. We have to be in a state of being not being fearful of preaching and teaching the gospel. And that's what I was sharing with these young girls. It's okay to be young and be a Christian. We are the salt of the earth. But we got to believe that with everything. We got to be trendsetters and not trend followers. And that's what I'm trying to show these young girls. But guess what? Before they can believe it, we got to believe it. And we got to also be living it. We can't tell our young people, oh, you just do what I say and not what I do. You're a hypocrite. Come on, can we be real on tonight? You're being a hypocrite. We can't keep telling these kids that. No, we got to lead by an example. We can't sit here and say, oh, follow the leader, but where are we leading them to? That's the question I ask. Where are we leading people? When we're telling them one thing, but our lifestyle is saying something different. And I'm talking about even with me. We want to say that, oh, I'm of God and I'm a woman of God and this and I'm a woman of character. But then we turn around and then we live a whole different life. Hold on. Let's see if we could bring her back in. Hold on, y'all. Hello?
Hey, I went to
Hey,
a different area.
okay, I can hear you now. So I
Okay.
was saying to them about your message and how powerful it was. Friend, tell them, I couldn't remember the word. Tell them what it was that you were saying.
Okay, basically the message was the topic was to leap to Tabitha Coon, which means girl get up. And it was talking about Jairus' daughter who died. But the way God gave it to me was how Jairus' daughter had died and how Jesus actually spoke to this dead body. This body that was unresponsive, this body that didn't have no breath, no life. And he spoke to it. And he says, get up. And what I love about it is sometimes we've heard this preached before, and we know that before Jesus went into the house, the people was wailing because the girls were dead. And Jesus says, she's not dead, but she's asleep. And I
Right.
said, God, why did you say sleep? He says, because when you sleep, you can get up. And that was so powerful to me. I was like, wow. And then he was like, and that is how it is with us. You know, we got some stuff in our lives that is dead, unresponsive, that won't move, but we got to speak into it. We got to begin to speak to it. So that I've been meditating. I just been basking in that word alone because it's some things and us, situations in our life, some dead situations that it looked like it's not going to move. It looked like it's dead. It's unresponsive. But I'm here to tell you that we serve a God that has resurrection power that can raise some dead, stinking stuff back to life. Marriages, relationships, it don't even matter. But if we, and if one thing he said, but only if you believe. Because when they came and gave Jairus the bad news, Jesus looked at Jairus and says, fear not, but believe. And that's the key to it. He had to believe that he believed that Jesus could heal her, but now you got to believe him bigger than that. You got to believe that he can raise her from the dead.
And
So
that's what season we're in right now. And that Nikki was just saying, she said the message evangelist Shonda Clay delivered was for me. And she said, yes, girl, get up. And then Hopi says, yes, get up. She
yes,
said, come on, sis, talk about it. And that's the thing. It's about believing. We got to believe
Yes.
it. We could speak it all day, friend, but until we actually believe it
That's it.
and we begin to work in it, we begin to operate in it, we begin to believe in it, there's nothing going to happen. Nothing at all.
That's it.
And so I just want to say to you, when I say you walk that floor, you walk that floor. I was a proud friend. I
Praise
said,
God.
oh my God,
Praise God.
because I see the growth, I see the power, I see the anointing. And that's what these young girls needed to see. And so I was like, God, you did a job. You did a well job picking these women,
Yes.
because you and these other women were chosen. And that's the thing. And I think that's what made, to me, this right here, this event was different,
Yeah.
because I listened to God. I begin to be obedient to God, because it's not about us. It's not about our titles. It's about the work. It's about the mission. It's about the purpose. What do you say about that, friend?
I totally agree with you. It was so amazing that when I got able to post, I was like, Mommy and me was everything. I couldn't even think of nothing else to say, but it was everything. And just unity in the women on the panel too, and even the women that
Yes.
was it was so beautiful. It was such a spiritual connection. One of my friends came and she said, "Girl, that thing was good. That was and one lady was like, man, this thing was so good. It was, man, this was something like you would see at like a TD Jakes conference or something. How powerful and anointed these ladies were, just standing with boldness. I said it was amazing that everybody walked in their gifting. Nobody tried to be nobody else. They just did it the way God gave it to them. And that's what is so beautiful to me.
And that's one of the things that I have put on here. It says, when you allow God to move freely, a lot of times, and I know people saying, well, you can't hold God hostage. No, you can't, but you can hold a gift hostage. When you have that boldness and that freedom to say, God, less of me and more of you. And that's what it was. I said, God, please allow us to be less of us and more of you, that you can run and run rampant through here, that you can be able to touch, and then let us identify with who needs a message. And when I
Yes.
say that y'all came out bold. And that's what we need in our communities, in our homes, and even in the churches, in the sanctuaries. We need that right now, because the enemy ain't playing with people. He ain't playing. And he's taking our young people out. He's taking our old people out. He's just taking people out, period. And in this season, you got to be bold. And so I thank God for your boldness, friend. If you
Yeah.
had to say anything to anybody on here, what would be something that you would say to them to get them to that next level, to keep the fight in them?
From my experience, I have been through so much, going through so much, even now. But one of the things that keep me every day is a nugget that God laid in me, is you can't keep a praying woman down. If
Come,
you
you
praying
better
to
say
God,
that.
if you talking to God, I don't care what come your way. I don't care what the enemy try to do to you. But if you praying and if you talking to Papa God, you can't keep a praying woman down. I don't care what attack you send my way, baby. I'm talking to God every day. And I'm here to tell you, you may knock me down, but you can't keep me down. Oh, no, you can't keep a praying woman down. So that's what I would tell them. Get a relationship with God. Talk to him. Pray. You ain't got to pray these old, big old pious prayer.
Come on.
Pray to him like you talking to me, or you talking to someone, and just talk to him. And when those storms come your way, if you talking to God, if you praying to God, baby, I'm here to tell you, it may knock you down, but you can't stay down. Nah, not if you talking to God, because you can't keep a praying woman down. You can
And
try,
even
but you
in the
can't.
position, friend, even in the position of being down, one thing God gave to me was, a lot of times when people see you down, they think that you're defeated, right? But I tell the enemy, thank you, sir, because you just put me in a place of worship. You just put me closer to God. You just pushed me closer to God, because the question asks, where will I go? Who shall I run to? And we got to have that personal relationship with God. That's one of the things that I wrote on my calendar yesterday, friend. I was like, number one, out of everything that I'm doing right now, I need to build a closer relationship with God. Somebody sent me something that's saying they're trying to make it illegal to have a Bible.
Really?
But the thing is, guess what? You got to have that word in you. You got to
That's it.
have a close
That's it.
relationship with it. So when they burning up the Bible, yeah,
Mm,
when they burning up those papers, you already got it implanted in you. That
yeah.
nothing that comes or goes, guess what? It will rattle the cages of my faith and my belief in who? God. So that prayer life is very important.
That's it.
And so at the Mommy and Me brunch, I think that was the biggest thing for me was with the young girls. When we had the youth stand up, friend, and we saw about 20, 22 young girls. And I'm like, this is our future. But to see them looking at a evangelist Shonda Clay and where we come from, see, we could talk about it. And we're not ashamed about our past, but we could be transparent to let them know that it's okay. Against all odds, if we made it, guess what? You can make it too. What would you say about that?
And I agree totally. I was blessed to see the young people, and even to see my daughter Yana being there, who don't go to church events. And at the end, she said, "Man, I enjoyed that." Because you
Wow.
like I really enjoyed that. That was good. That blessed me. That
Wow.
what that let me know, seeds was planted. Some seeds was planted in the hearts of those young people on that day, and so I was truly blessed by that. Just that alone.
Right. And I say that we did our job.
That's
And that's
it.
what it was about. It's not about any fame. It's not about fortune. It's not about popularity. It's not about that. And I think a lot of times, and I know some people going, have something to say, but it's all good, because at the end of the day, it's about being real and truthful. A lot of times we put on these platforms, and I know because I used to do it. We put on these events and stuff because we want the pats on the back. But I said, in this season, God, I'm not stealing your glory. The only thing I'm going to do is be a mail carrier and a farmer, tilling the ground and planting the seeds. Now somebody else going to come and they're going to give the increase, and then God, or what, they're going to water it, and God going to give the increase in that. We just got to be messengers. That's
That's
it.
it. That's it.
Because the thing is, people don't even realize with those platforms, here come the enemy. Here come the enemy. So you better be prayed up.
That's it.
Because you know for a fact, friend, it was a touch and go thing. And we knew, and I would tell you, and I said, you know what, God, I know you're gonna do something great at this event. I know you're gonna do something great at this gathering. I know you're gonna do something great at this fellowship, God. Because the enemy is fighting every angle. But God, I know one thing too, that he can't do no more than you allow him to do. So if you allowing him to do it, it's for a reason, that you get the glory out of it. And God did just that.
Yes, he did.
He did just that, friend. And so I appreciate each and every one of y'all that came on the panel that said yes. Not yes to me, but yes to God.
That's it.
Because he chose y'all. And then for the women to come together, and some of the people didn't know each other, and it felt like it was a one big family in that room.
Exactly. It was such a spiritual connection.
I just said this a minute ago. This is one of the things that I put on here. Obedience is better than sacrifice. When I tell you, some things came up putting this event together, or I'm going to say this fellowship together. Some things came up that hit my pockets deep, right? And I said this to God. I said, God, I know the vision you gave me, and I know you're going to give me the provision, right? But the enemy will go to playing with your mind and have you saying, did you really hear from God? And when I tell you, friend, I sacrificed, and I know all of y'all did because I know you went on your fast. I know you. I know you prayed. I know you were seeking God. But it was just like I sacrificed sleep, finances, eating. When I say it was just like, my God, what's next? I almost got in a car accident, cupcakes all in the back of the truck. And I was like, even to the end, and I said, it's like a 4th of July fireworks. It's like pop, ooh, ah. But then the grand finale, because he know he got to come with everything in him to try to break us down, tear it down. The spirit of sabotage was all over it. And I'm like, but God at the end of it. So the sacrifice, it was well worth it.
That's right.
And then Apostle came back when I went to church that next day, because everybody was like, oh, I know you ain't going to church. Yes, I am. If I can go to this event and working on fumes, guess where I'm going? To the house of the Lord. Why? Because he gave me the strength to even go that far. And when I turned around, I'm just giving this testimony on how God do things. Friend, I had 0 on my Cash App, right? But I said, God, I got to pay my tithe and offering. When I opened it up, guess what was on there? $500, friend.
Wow.
Because somebody said they were at the event and said that God laid it on their heart to be a blessing, right? And they kept saying, no, because I'm about to get a house. And they said when they got home, they tossed and they turned and they tossed and they turned and they couldn't go to sleep. And they told their wife about what God had told him to do. And she said, you better be obedient to God. When he released the 500 to me, guess what? He got an order of X amount for bags that like the ones he printed for us. And guess what the tab was? $547. God turned around and gave it right back to him. So in that season, no matter what it seemed like, no matter what it looked like, be obedient to the very word of God and watch God bless you with favor on top of favor. And it may not be finances, just the favor. And I know you can bear witness to that.
Exactly. You know, with this message, I really struggled. I was studying. It was like I couldn't get a connection. And I kept studying. It was like it was like it was not coming. So I said, okay, I know what I got to do. You know something? I literally had to do a 24-hour fast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't eat nothing. All I did was drunk liquids. And I haven't done that in years. And so the next morning when I woke up, God began to speak to me concerning this message. Girl, when I tell you, I ran to the kitchen, started writing stuff down. But I literally had to fast for 24 hours in order to come up with my message.
And that's it. It's like we have to give up something. God dealt with me about when you release, I'll release. When you release, because a lot of times our hands is full with a lot of things. We're holding on to past, pain, comfort, laziness. We're holding on to a lot of things. But God said, when you release, I'll release. Meaning you can't grab nothing with closed hands.
That's it.
But when you just make that sacrifice to what God spoke to you and over your life, when you release that, now your hands are open. Now you can receive what it is that God has for you. And that's where I was, friend, for 2 days. They was like, eat. I was like, no, I'm good. The plate just sat there. Why? Because I needed something from God. I was like, God, I need to hear you because right now I'm getting discouraged. I'm aggravated. I'm frustrated, God. I want to just cancel this thing, but I know what God spoke to me. So I had to sit up there and say, okay, God, this ain't that. This ain't that season where I would give up. This ain't that season where I would tap out. Because guess what? It wasn't about me. The things that we go through and sacrifice is not just for us, friend. It be for other people.
That's it.
And that's it. And so when I say that, I'm so grateful for you, especially because we've been friends for 20, I want to say I've been here 30 years. So I want to say about 29 years, we have been friends. And the journey that we had, it's an unbreakable bond and connection. It really is, because we knew each other in the streets, but now look at God. Look at
Exactly.
God. And that's why I say if we don't give up on each other, we sure shouldn't give up on our children, no
That's
matter
it.
what it seemed like.
That's
If
it.
you had to, friend, let me ask you this. If you had to talk to the little girl in you, what would you say?
If I had to talk to the little Shonda, who, sometimes I look back and the hand of God be on your life and you can't see it. And I remember my auntie who raised me was a Sunday school teacher, and she would tell you stuff. And I
Mm-hmm.
would I would tell that little girl, I would say, Shonda, greater. Greater is coming if you trust God. Raised up in church. I left Georgia and I came to Florida, and I was out there hard.
You breaking up, friend.
But I didn't work hard. I did barely enough to get by. Like people say, have go to parties. I would say, girl, you got plenty of time to have fun. Work, go do your best. Try to succeed in life. Because I remember when I was in school and everybody wanted to graduate. Everybody wanted to get out of school, but nobody told you that when you graduate, you got to get your house and pay some bills. They didn't
Amen.
tell you that part. All you want to do is you want to be grown, but you got to pay some bills, honey. And you need to go to school to have a decent income to be able to pay these bills, or not you're going to be struggling. So I would tell her, girl, give it your 100%. And then that teacher that discouraged Shonda when she was in high school, that told Shonda what she can do, I would be that voice and say, yes, you can, Shonda. Yes, you can.
Amen.
You can do whatever you put your mind to, Shonda. Don't try to follow the crowd, but follow your heart, Shonda. I would encourage myself like never before, because it was a teacher that discouraged me and told
Wow.
me I couldn't be something. And guess what? I listened because she was a teacher, and I gave up on
Wow.
it. I gave up on it.
But
And
God,
that
look at you
it's
now.
and listen, and it's a lot of young people out there, a lot of young girls. They listen to friends, they listen to
Right.
family members that tell them what they can't do, and they tell them they're not smart enough to do it. But
Mm-hmm.
I look back over my life. I remember when I was in people that know me, I was Shonda Head back in the day. Shonda Head was in a gang called the Dogs, fighting and
Wow.
doing all kind of foolishness, hanging with boys that was stealing cars, just ratchet and ghetto, cussing like a
Wow.
sailor, doing all kind of stuff, drinking, going to the club, doing all of this crazy stuff. And I
Right.
guarantee you, those friends that was in high school with me that knew that I used to party, they would have never believed that she would be the one preaching and being called by God to preach the gospel. They would have never imagined that, because I was that one that was in school partying. I was that one that was going to the skip parties. I was the one that was drunk. I was the one that was hanging with these guys that was stealing cars. That was me in a gang called the Dogs.
But God, right?
But God,
And that's why I say, even with the young girls, and a lot of people, they judge, they already convict the young girls, and they're promiscuous, not knowing what these young girls went through, and not even knowing what we went through. All they see is the glory. They don't know the story. And we're still a work in progress,
that's it.
right?
Every
And
day.
that's where my heart is. That's where my passion is. A lot of times people say, oh, why are you so? Because I was that, or probably even worse than that. I was that young girl. I was the one that was molested. I was the one that was date raped. I was the one out there hustling drugs. I was the one out there drinking and smoking and partying. I was the one that said, oh, you're going to be like your mom. I was that one, right? And
Yes.
no disrespect to my mother, but I'm being real right now. I was that one. We were taught, use what you got to get what you want. Basically, in a sense, teaching you how to be a prostitute. Give up your goods for your good. But then here it is. Now we are in a place and a position to be generational curse breakers, atmosphere changers. And it's like, I'm no longer that person, but some people still see you as that what? That person. So when I see these young girls out here, I see me in them. Pastor Carter said that. She said, I see her in me and me in her. And we got to identify with that.
Yeah.
So now what are we going to do about it? And just like you said, begin to speak life into those young girls' life.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is not their end. This is not their end. We can't give up on them. And just like whoever that adult was that spoke over your life, like, oh, you're not going to be anything. Guess what? I had that. You almost been perfect if your teeth were straight. Do you know how damaging words can be to children? And so my thing is, we got to switch it up. We got to change it up. We got to speak to that dead situation. Just like you
That's it.
said,
That's
we got
it.
to say, get up. You can and you will make it. You are beautiful. You are phenomenal. You are amazing. And that's where beauty within come from. It's to train up these girls. What do you want to do, darling? Somebody bless me. Matter of fact, Kathleen Beauty Supply, bless me with hair. Guess what? I'm sitting up here thinking now, been writing down things ever since then. God, what can I do with this hair that was given to me? How can I bless our young girls? If they want to be entrepreneurs, God, it only takes $55 to make them a DBA, doing business as, where they could be their own boss. Teach them about credit. Teach them about saving. Teach them about being modest. Teach them that they the salt of the earth. But it first starts with us.
That's it right now.
It
That's it.
starts with us. We can't expect them to be something that we're not willing to be. So it's like, who gonna stand up? Who gonna stand up for them? So that means sacrificing time. That means sacrificing a little finance. This is all good because guess what? God will restore. God will restore. So after all of that and everything that happened at the end, friend, if you could sum up the Pretty in Pink Mommy and Me brunch, how would you sum it up?
Amazing. Was so amazing. Um, to it was just so amazing that I was just still in awe when I left because the atmosphere. Forget about the speakers, forget about the food, forget it was the atmosphere. The presence of God was in
God
that
was in
place.
there. Yes.
The presence of God. That was it. When it was just amazing. Just to be in the presence of God. I had a friend actually who came and she left and went to church. She went to our church because they were having something, but I didn't leave. I just stayed there because it was just too good for me to leave it. I just couldn't leave it. And she texted me back and so when it was over, I said, is everybody still at church? She said, no, but I wish I would have stayed there. You know,
Wow.
yes. It was just the atmosphere. You could just feel the presence of God and him just dwelling. It was just so
Wow.
good. It was just amazing. Whenever you can be in the presence of God like that, you cannot
Wow.
leave this place. You would never leave the same way you came. Not being in his presence. No. You can't leave that the same way. I'm telling you, I'm not even the same. That message that was for me.
And
That was
me.
for me because you got a lot of girls. It's so much we can get up from. Just like God said, we can get up from out of depression. You got young girls battling with depression. You know something
Yes.
I learned about depression? You got people that are so beautiful. They so happy. They laughing and joking, but they are battling with depression.
Yep. Yep.
Battling with depression. You got people battling that need to get up out of loneliness. Got a house full of people in their house.
And
Got they
lonely.
married, but they
And
battling
lonely.
with
Yep.
loneliness. Girl, it's a lot of things us women got to get up out of. And you know what? We got to help each other get out of it. We got
And
to
that's
stop
it.
beating each other on the head. We got to stop downing each other. But we got to start lifting each other. When we see a sister and she look cute, you be like, oh, I like that. You look cute. You look cute. I like that. We got to
Yep.
start complimenting each other. We got to start lifting each other up. That's a way we can get out too, is we can lift each other up. Lift each other up to help each other get out and get up.
And get out of that mindset.
That's it.
Get out of that mindset. And that's what the Mommy and Me brunch was really formulated and put together be to do that. And that's what we felt it. We felt the
That's it.
presence of
That's
God in
it.
that place. That was the prayer, that God, have your way. Move freely. You are welcome into this place. Friend, I just want to say thank you for coming on. And I know you at work. I appreciate you for speaking and talking about the experience of the Pretty in Pink Mommy and Me brunch. She is also one of the board members of the Beauty Within You Incorporated. And we're going to be doing some greater things in our community, and not just in Polk County or Florida, where we're going to go and be moving wherever God tell us to do, or wherever he tell us to go. That's what we're going to do. So I thank you, friend, for being a part of the Beauty Within. I thank you for being a speaker at the Mommy and Me brunch. I thank you for being my sister in Christ. I thank you for being my friend. I thank you for being that support. I thank you
Oh,
for being a prayer partner, friend. I appreciate you. And this is what real sisterhood is really about.
yes, most definitely. And I
I thank
appreciate
you.
you and thank God for you as well.
I love you.
I love you too, friend.
Listen, guys, when I tell you that that woman of God is so powerful, I just want to come and say to anybody that was at the Mommy and Me brunch, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for taking out the time. I appreciate you for investing. I appreciate you for praying for me, with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for your helping hand. I want to say thank you to Miguel Torres. He is the one that did these shirts. I want to see, can you see? He did my Beauty Within t-shirts and bags. He did a retractable banner for us. He was the DJ. He brought his photo booth. I thank God for his wife for even sharing him with us. I thank God for Pastor Belinda Carter from New Restoration, Elder Bianca Carter from New Restoration. I thank Evangelist Kay Maxwell for taking out her time. She had just left one event and came over to our event to speak. I thank God for my friend, Minister Nikisha Pruitt, raw. She is straight up raw. When I say that everybody was touched by these speakers, and just like my friend Evangelist Shonda Clay said, the Spirit of God was so high. It was so high in that place that it was, honey, when I say it was like we had brunch, but we got more of a spiritual feeding than we did a physical feeding. And that's where it is right now. I'm asking each and every person that is on this live or watching it on the replay, take out time to reach out to that daughter in your home, or if you don't have a daughter, that niece, that sister, your mom, whomever. If it's a female in your life, you need to reach out to them. If you got a grudge against them, let it go. Forgive. Let it go. People are leaving here left and right. Love on each other. There are some things that I have to get straight, and I just talked to my baby sister about. I have to get some things straight. And even if you didn't do anything wrong and they wronged you, obedience is better than sacrifice. And I know God is tugging at your heart. I know God had told you to call that person. I know God had told you to text that person. I know God told you to reach out to that person. I'm here to tell you, if you can't forgive others, guess what? God can't forgive you. And then that means if he didn't forgive you, that means you're walking around with that dirt of unforgiveness on you. And if you have unforgiveness on you and you dirty, guess what? You will not tarry into heaven. I promise you that you will not tarry in the eyesight of God. I promise you that. And I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself as well. We can walk around here, we could teach, we could preach, we could shout, we could sing, we could speak in tongues, we could cast out spirits, we could do all of this stuff. But if our heart is not lining right with God, guess what? It's all in vain. It's all in vain. So that's what this movement is about. Beauty within. We could dress up this outside, but are you putting on the whole armor of God? We could dress up this outside, but is your heart right? We could dress up this outside, but is your thinking right? That's where it's at right now. It's time out for playing. It's time out for playing dress up. A lot of us are dressing up and we're walking around here just bags of garbage. You saying, who you talking to? I'm talking to us as a whole. It's time out for play. It's time out for you, us seasoned women, judging these younger girls, not even understanding what happened to them. Yeah. It's just by the grace of God that I didn't turn out to be a molester, because most molesters turn into a molester. I know you said, where are you going with this? I'm talking to somebody because God is talking to me. It's time out for us playing. It's time to get real, for real, about God's business. It ain't about building a platform where, oh, people going to see you. No, it's not about that. It's time for us to get our hands dirty. It's time for us to put on our boots. It's time for us to hit the pavement. Why? Because you got dying souls out there. We're losing our youth. And not just our females, also our men, our young boys. It's time for us to speak up. It's time for us to power up. It's time for us to level up. You have a charge to keep and a God to glorify. God done spoke to some of y'all and told you to do certain things, hey, and you have not yet done it. Procrastinating. And we bind up that spirit. God is creating some shift changers, atmosphere changers, generational curse breakers. Will you be that one? Guess what? I can't save the whole world. I can't deliver a lot of people. I can't help everybody. But if I help one, I've done what God told me to do. Will you do what God told you to do? Will you? That's the question that I'm asking. This right here, it wasn't easy. I told my sister today, I don't know why I'm so nervous to get on here and do a live again. Because I said, God, this ain't no script no more. This ain't about a script and oh, I got these topics. No, God, whatever you tell me to say, and it don't have to make sense to everybody. It don't even have to make sense to me. But guess what? The message is for somebody. Will you be obedient? Will you be obedient? In this season, God is going to tell you to go up to strangers and pray for them. In this season, that little girl, that young woman that got on the too little clothes. Instead of you judging and talking about her, take her shopping, buy her something, invest in her, take out time with her, take her out to lunch, expose her to things that she ain't never been exposed to. Ask her what she want to be in life. And I'm telling you, it will change her life. Everybody don't have a success story. It's just by the grace of God that Evangelist Clay and myself made it. It's by the grace of God, Pastor Belinda Carter made it. It's by the grace of God, Elder Bianca made it. It's by the grace of God, Minister or Evangelist Kate Maxwell made it. It's by the grace of God that Minister Nikisha Pruitt made it. It's just by the grace of God. And some of us are a pinch away from being that homeless person or being that runaway. It's just by the grace of God. So with that being said, will you invest in that young girl? Men, I need you to stand up. I need you to take your rightful place. God is calling order in the court. I don't know why you take me this way, God, but God is calling order in the court. Everything is all discombobulated in homes, in our communities, in our sanctuaries, in what we call the churches. God is saying order in the court. And I know I came on here to talk about mommy and me, right? But God has said, before you close out, I'm calling order in the court. You got men, the husbands want to be the wives, and the wives want to be the husband, and the children want to be the parents, and everybody want to be God. Order in the court. Will you stand up for right and righteousness? Will you? I'm asking you. Will you? Will you make a difference in your community? We always talking about it, but when are we going to be about it? When are you going to put your money where your mouth is? We talk about how we unhappy with things that's going on in our communities, but when are we going to step up and stand up for what's right and give back? Some of us are in better places and positions than we ever been. But are we willing to give? Are we willing to give back? And it ain't always about your finances. I'm one that always would say, God, if I become a millionaire, I'll begin to bless people. But God said, you are a millionaire to some people. You are a millionaire with your joy. You are a millionaire with your peace. You are a millionaire with your love. Will you give some of that to somebody that never experienced it? Will you? Will you volunteer your time? Will you volunteer a words of encouragement? That's the question that I'm going to leave you with. I thank you for tuning in to revamping, the relaunching of BU Podcasts. This podcast is not going to be like any other podcast because God has free reign to do and say what he want to say. And on this, I want to say I thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in. But I'm charging you on this day to make a difference in someone's life. And before you put your mouth on them with your gossiping and your whispering, begin to pray over them and for them and not on them. And until we talk again, guys, be blessed. Love you much.